After watching the process of casting the Buddha bell, we finally understood why Buddhism could become one of the 3 major religions in the world. The complexity of its processing opened our eyes wide. Today, let's look together at how difficult it is to make a Buddha bell over 2 meters tall, weighing up to 5 tons. We all know that every temple must have a large bell. The larger the Buddha bell, the larger the scale of the temple. However, making such a Buddha bell is extremely difficult. First, the workers need to make the inner mold of the Buddha bell. They weld 24mm steel bars into an oval shape. Additionally, they need a bottomless pit larger than the Buddha bell itself. The supporting mold base is placed in the center of the bottomless pit, and its position is corrected with a level. Then, the steel bars are placed on the ground to form the mold and fixed with welding techniques. Workers must also wrap the fine iron wire around the steel bars to prevent shifting. Anyone who has worked on a construction site knows this process is crucial. After the binding is completed, workers shovel casting soil into it. The entire bottomless pit consists of 3 parts. After filling the base with casting dirt, they fill the second part. At this point, an iron sheet is used to fix the thickness of the Buddha bell. A 1-meter-high iron sheet is placed on the edge of the steel bars, with wooden supports to keep it from touching the steel bars. The outer edge is secured with 1mm iron wire. Then, they continue to fill the casting soil until it is parallel to the iron sheet. Workers use an iron hammer to compact the ground, then add iron sheets until it reaches the height of the designed Buddha bell. The same steps are repeated to fill the casting soil. Despite seeming simple, this process takes half a day. After the casting soil is filled to the height of the Buddha bell, they start to dig a hole in the center position of the bell, leaving a space the size of a stove. By this time, the casting soil has solidified to remove the surrounding iron sheets. This gives a rough outline of the Buddha bell. Next, they use shovels to remove the top layer of soil to refine the bell's appearance further. Then, with more precise scrapers, they make precise repairs. These scrapers are made according to the principle of a compass, tailored to the size of the bell. At this point, the mold has become smooth and round. Next, workers ignite a pile of coke and pour it all into the mold. This is to evaporate the moisture inside and make the mold solid thoroughly. At the same time, workers assemble the Buddha bell's outer mold, fixing it with internal bolts and applying glue to the surface. Because the outer surface of the bell is composed of many scriptures, the purpose of applying glue is to allow these scriptures to adhere to the mold more clearly so that the Sanskrit on the mold can be seen more clearly. After the pasting, they prepare some particular casting soil, mainly composed of alumina, and mix it with special adhesives. Soon, the unique casting soil is evenly mixed. Next is to cast the outer mold of the Buddha bell. Workers use a hoisting machine to encase it outside the mold and measure its size precisely with a tape measure. Then, they start to fill it with casting soil. The entire process is not simple at all. The outer mold also consists of 2 parts, upper and lower. After all the casting diagrams are filled, workers remove the exhaust pipe inside and apply a layer of black demolding powder to ensure that every corner can be demolded smoothly. The final step is to install the lifting ring of the Buddha bell's head, which must be tightly connected to the bell. After all the work is completed, the next step is to demold. Since the specially prepared casting soil does not need to be dried, the inner mold can be removed directly. Workers use a tightening device inside the bell to hang on the hooks of the mold's inner layer and remove the inner mold altogether. The inner mold consists of 3 rubber sheets that can be easily removed. When the hoisting vehicle lifts the mold, we can see that the inside of the mold has clearly engraved the scriptures, but some plastic texts are still stuck to the mold. At this time, workers need to remove them manually until there are no defects. Then, the inner and outer molds are combined, and the precision must reach a millimeter level or above. Otherwise, all previous efforts will be wasted. Finally, they bolted all around to prevent copper leakage during pouring. Next, workers melt copper in a spoon, and the molten copper can be poured into the Buddha bell. By this time, the internal temperature has reached 1,200 degrees Celsius, so workers must wear unique heat-insulating clothing. After the copper is melted, it is poured into the mold. Without advanced machinery, most of the work is done manually. Such a large Buddha bell weighs about 5 tons in total. The capacity of each spoon is about 2.5 tons, so 2 large scoops of molten copper need to be poured in at the same time. The interior was filled when the copper overflowed from the vent hole. Both ladles of copper have been used cleanly, and it is necessary to wait 2 days for the copper to cool naturally. Currently, the market price of brass is about $30 per kilogram. This 5-ton Buddha bell costs at least $300,000 in material alone. Plus, labor and technology can be sold for at least $350,000. Next, let's admire how magnificent the finished Buddha bell is. All the tightly secured steel bars around are removed, and the hoisting machine removes the inner mold of the Buddha. At this point, the top lifting ring has already appeared. The excess edges and corners are cut off, and the decay of the Buddha bell continues to be hoisted. Now we can see the whole bell, but there is still much casting soil on the surface. The hoisting machine lays the entire Buddha bell flat on the ground, and workers start to loosen the casting soil inside with pneumatic hammers while cleaning the bell's surface. When the cleaning is almost done, the hoisting machine lifts the bell again, and the inner mold is shaken down using a hammer. At this point, the sound of the bell is not yet crisp. With the combined effort of several workers, the inner mold is successfully removed. Finally, the surface is finely processed. At this point, the Buddha bell has revealed its golden cover with precise edges and visible inscriptions. Finally, they deliver the Buddha bell to the temple. Tested by the monks in the temple, the Buddha bell emits a long and melodic sound. With this, the production and use of the Buddha bell are complete.